Dear friends in Jesus Christ, in the Gospel according to Matthew chapter 16 verse 24 we read, Jesus told his disciples, "If any want to become my followers, let them deny themselves and take up their cross and follow me." It is a challenge that Jesus put forth before us. Let me ask you a question. Who is a follower? When we decide to follow Jesus, we need to fulfill three requirements: self-denial, prepare for death, obedience. First, self-denial. When we look into ourselves, in all our success, there is something behind that we left. We sacrificed our time, our joy, happiness to achieve the goals in our life. But here Jesus asks something much more than that. We cannot be the most important person in our life. Our life must be going around Jesus. We need to keep all our priorities aside and give first place for Jesus. Self-denial is not that something easily come to us, but it is a demand of Christ. In the letter of St. Paul to the Philippians, chapter 2, verse 7, we read, "He emptied himself, taking the form of a slave." Jesus could have born in a royal family where his mother and himself could be taken care well. But he chose a poor pious woman to be his mother, and he was born in a manger. He emptied himself. Jesus could have lived in a big city, but he chose a poor village called Nazareth. We know the geography of Nazareth. It is surrounded by the hills, no water, no agriculture. At the time of Jesus, people had a negative feeling towards this place. The Gospel according to John, chapter 1, verse 46, we see where Nathanael says to Philip, "Can anything good come out of Nazareth?" Jesus lived in this place. He emptied himself. He gave his life on a cross, not for himself, but for the salvation of the world. Finally, he did not even have a tomb of his own, but he was buried in a borrowed tomb. He emptied himself. Second point, prepare for death. Not only we need to deny ourselves, but also we need to prepare for death. When we think about prepare for death, it is that Jesus is calling us to take up the cross and follow him. Many times when we hear this cross in our life, very often we think that it is the burden that we need to take in our life, or it is a difficult situation that we need to adjust in our life. But at the time of Jesus, it was not the understanding. When Jesus carried his cross, he knew that he is going to die. The cost of following Christ could be our life. Third point, obedience. To obey someone is not an easy task. The letter of St. Paul to the Philippians, chapter 2, verse 8, we read, "He humbled himself and became obedient to the point of death, even death on a cross." When we follow Christ, we need to fulfill all his expectations on us. We need to think like Jesus. We need to act like Jesus. Even we need to feel like Jesus. Only then we can obey Christ unconditionally. So dear friends, as Christians, we are all called to follow Christ. When we follow, we must fulfill these three requirements: self-denial, prepare for death, finally obedience.